As your little one moves from babyhood into toddlerhood, perhaps preschooler years, you're going to start to wonder, how exactly do I take care of her hair? What do I need to do? I've had lots of questions about that over the years, and so I have a video, I have a blog post, let's talk about it. Before we go any further, be sure to like and subscribe so that you can see all future videos. My first tip is to work to figure out your child's hair type. This may not become fully obvious until your child is a little older, into maybe even teen years, and of course the hormones come in and make hair different in tween and teen years anyway. But when you're looking for products or tools, it's best to have the type of products and tools that work best with certain hair types. So get to know your child's hair. You'll be really lucky if your child's hair is exactly like yours, but none of my children have hair exactly like mine. So that probably is a rare occurrence. Speaking of products, when I say products, I'm referring to the things you put in your hair. So use quality products, but that doesn't always mean you have to break the bank. When my kids were little, Suave is often something that worked just great for them. So it doesn't have to be expensive, but make sure what you're using is working for your child's hair, and that will change as they get older. But so find products. I mean, you definitely get what you pay for, but it isn't always necessary to pay top dollar for a 5-year-old's hair. It may be, but you may find that you can get away with less expensive things, especially in younger years. But once you hit tween and teen years, you do start to have very special circumstances that you may need to put out a little more money for. Not only are the products important, but so are the tools, and tools can make your life so much easier. So let's talk about some of my favorite tools I use for doing my girls' hair. In my basket, I have a lot of our favorites here. So one important thing is what type of brushes you use. All three of my girls have very long hair, waist length hair, and that can lead to a lot of tangles. And tangles really depend on hair type too. So my oldest daughter doesn't really have bad tangles, but my youngest daughter, like if you blink at her hair, you're gonna have a huge tangled mess to work out. So a wet brush is very helpful for the beginning stages of working out tangles. It's not the only brush you need, but it is a brush that you will love and need. A regular brush. This is a brush I have from Lange I really like. This is another brush from Lange I really like. This one has some boar bristle in it. So bristle brushes can be super helpful, especially for getting smooth looks. Like this works really well for me for getting Brinley's hair in a nice ponytail. But you can also use something like this. That is a bristle brush. This one is not natural. Natural bristles are better than synthetic, but something like this can work too. So we have the wet brush. You also need regular brushes, and you need some combs to really get those tangles out. So this has a wider portion to it and then a finer end so you kind of work your way down, and we'll go through the process. I'll show you the process on Brinley of working tangles out, but those are all great tools to help make your life easier. If you do find you have a lot of tangles, some detangling spray can work. I don't really have one that I'm in love with, but these are two we have. We have one from Aussie, one from Lange, and I like them both, but I haven't experimented a lot with them, so I wouldn't say those are definitely the best. Another helpful tool is to have good elastics when you are doing hair. So elastics that are coated, and again, brand, these two are just brands from Walmart, and they're both fine. I don't have one I like better than the other, but they're good. They won't get tangled in the hair or make big messes. With thinner hair, younger hair is always thinner, but also like smaller hairdos. These are little elastics, and this I got from Sally's, and I really like this brand. I have tried other elastics that I don't love, but I really like this brand from Sally's. They have black and clear, And they also have color, so like a rainbow color, and your store may have different colors too, but I use black and clear the most often. When my girls were younger, I used like the rainbow colors a lot too. But we use these a lot. Like if I put Brindley's hair in a ponytail and braid it, then I'll use this at the bottom of the braid. I use 2 of these at the top of the braid to hold her hair, but then 1 of these at the bottom. These don't get tangled in the hair. They're a nicer brand. They're easier to work with. The clear are great too, and they're great if you want to do like little hairstyles on the top of the head. They're very easy to break, so if you wanted to just break them instead of like trying to pull them out, because that can cause pain and tangles. But they do break easier, so I wouldn't only rely on the clear. I would have something with either the black or the rainbow also. Something like this is really handy for washing the hair, and I like it for the child who is starting to learn to wash own hair, his or her own hair too, because it's a way for them to like feel like and really get in there. They often will just kind of like wash like this and not like get their fingers in there, so that can help. And like Launch sells this, but you can find these on, I got this from Amazon, so you can get this kind of thing, and I like it on my own hair. Another handy item is a nice shower cap. So my girls and I all do not wash our hair every day, so this really helps. We still shower every day, and this helps keep our hair from getting all wet when we take that shower, especially kids. Kids have a harder time staying out of the water, but that way you can very easily not wash every day and keep your hair dry when you shower. When you do wash, using something like a microfiber towel is super helpful, because you want to not have heat as much as possible on the hair, no matter your hair type. You want to avoid heat as much as possible. So these microfiber towels really help absorb the water before you blow dry, if you have to blow dry. And if you don't have to blow dry, it just helps absorb the water so that it's not as wet as you go about your day. I have 2 different brands here, and we've liked them both. This is the Turby Twist. It's been great. We've had it for many years. I recently got the Launch brand, and this is a better quality than the Turby. The Launch is better quality than the Turby. I use the Launch. My girls still use their Turbys, and they're really similarly priced. But you can buy packages of these, so if you have like 4 people to buy 4 or 3, you probably can get these cheaper in a package on Amazon. Another helpful item is a blow dryer that is a good blow dryer. I can't sing the praises of this Launch blow dryer enough. It really, put it up here, significantly cuts down on the length of time it takes to blow dry, which cuts down on the amount of heat going on the hair. And also, who likes their hair to be blow dried? Like, no one likes blow drying hair. I don't like blow drying hair. Hairdressers don't like blow drying hair. Kids don't like blow drying their own hair. So McKenna and Caitlin blow dry their own hair with this, and it's much more enjoyable for them, because literally McKenna's hair you can blow dry for 20 to 30 minutes with a regular blow dryer and still won't be dry, but she can get it dry in about 10 minutes with this. So she's much more willing to blow dry her hair, which we need in the winter here, because we have real winter, and you can't be in elementary school and go out to recess 3 times a day with wet hair. So those are some of my favorite tools for doing my girls' hair. Another tip I have for you in helping keep your child's hair healthy is to trim it regularly. I have, like, Brindley's first haircut, she was about 9 months old. Her hair grew really fast. But my girls get their hair cut at the very least twice a year, which doesn't seem that often, but we don't do a lot of heat other than blow drying in the winter. And like, we don't really use curling irons on their hair. We don't use any chemicals on the hair. Heat and chemicals can really damage the hair a lot. We also, when we do those trims, trim quite a bit. So it's not uncommon to go get a hair trim and cut off 6 inches. So if you're cutting 6 inches off at once, you can go longer typically between haircuts. So sometimes we go that long. Other times we do every 4 months or every 3 months. It has varied over the years, but if you go longer, you do need to trim off more to make sure you have that healthy hair. But that really helps keep the hair healthy. It also really helps with tangles. One big thing with Brinley is if she's at a point where she needs that trim, her hair will tangle even easier than blinking at it. Let's talk about a daily hair routine. Let's say we have a day when we're washing the hair. First thing I'm going to do is brush out the hair before we get it wet, because wet hair with tangles is harder. Tangles are harder to work out of wet hair than dry hair. So first thing, I'm going to brush that hair with the wet brush, and then I will brush it with a regular brush. Brush through. Then wash the hair. You know, if the child can wash her own hair, she washes her own hair. If she needs help, I wash it. Then get out, put the hair in the towel. At the very least, even if I don't wrap the hair up in the towel, I will squeeze the water out using that microfiber towel. And the microfiber towel squeezes out a lot more water than a regular towel. So even if your child is too young to like really keep that on the head, and it can be hard, the microfiber towel is worth it. Then brush through with the wet brush. Again, first step, always wet brush. Make sure we get those tangles out. Again, the wet brush sadly does not get out every single tangle, but it gets out a lot of tangles and it's a lot more tear free. If you start to brush and there's just snarls like crazy, use your detangling spray, spray it all over, and continue with your wet brush. Then I find I usually need to squeeze out the hair again, brushing it through. For whatever reason, I need to squeeze out the hair again. Then, this is again, we're wet, we've showered, washed the hair, brush through with the regular brush after the wet brush, and finally with a fine-tooth comb. So we're working like, if I started with this, there would be weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, absolutely. So these help slowly work through the snarls before we get to this point, and I'll use like focus on the wider end and then the fine end to really make sure the snarls are all out. You can't ignore the snarls and hope that tomorrow they'll be gone. They're not going to go away unless you brush them out. So you have to do that. And then the next step is I will do the hair, and I do it intentionally on what they're doing that day. And with Brinley, since her hair tangles so much, we just find it really helpful to pull it back in a ponytail and braid it, or braid it in some sort of braid to help prevent those snarls from coming in. So we very rarely leave Brinley's hair down. And the younger the child, the more you're going to want it up and out, because they just are very active and get snarls easily. But as they get older, they can have hair down more if they want to. And it'd be fine. But pulling it back not only helps prevent tangles, but it also helps keep it cleaner. So because they're not touching it, they're not moving it out of their face or like pulling it back or messing with it all day. So if they have it pulled back, then you can go longer between washing. Finally, you might be wondering how and when to teach your child to wash his or her own hair. And of course, this will vary depending on the child's age, maturity level, how much attention to detail they're willing to spend. So we take it, it's a process for us. We don't just one day say, okay, now you're washing your own hair. We have some steps, and the shorter the hair, the sooner they'll be able to care for it themselves without help, because longer hair is just much harder to wash and actually get clean. So my son was in kindergarten, maybe first grade at the oldest, when he was fully independent. And then my girls have probably been around second to third grade before they were fully independent. So our first step in teaching was to let them be in charge of getting their own head wet before it needed to be washed. That's an important step. So we'd have them, before we washed it, say, okay, get your hair wet. And we would let them work on getting it wet. And they often Don't get it fully wet because they don't want to get it in their eyes. Giving them a washcloth in the shower can help with that. But you can, tell them, like when you go to wash it, oh, you need to get a little closer. Like you need to make sure you feel it wet all the way up. So you work through that. And then once they're good and consistent about actually getting it all the way wet, then you still wash it, but then have them rinse it out, them be in charge of rinsing it out. And so they, again, it's the same as getting it wet, but they're having to navigate the shampoo, prevent it from coming in their eyes. So it's necessary they're capable of doing that before they can be doing it independently. So once they're good at that, and these steps, they can take weeks, they could take a day, depending on how much they really want to be good at it. It may take them a month. It doesn't really matter. We're not in a race here. It's fine. Our next step is for them to learn to wash their own hair. So you have them get the shampoo, put it in, and wash it themselves. And so they do the whole process. Initially, watch them do it, give pointers like, oh, you didn't get all the way. Again, they just often don't get all the way to the hairline. You didn't get all the way there, or oh, make sure you really scrub, or make sure you use this, and like really you feel it everywhere on your head. Just give them pointers and tips, and after they do it, then you might scrub too before they rinse it out. And over time, you hand it over to them, but it's smart to still have one day a week that you wash as they're getting used to it. Because if you give it a really good wash once a week, then it'll be fine if they're not very good at it. And they're not going to be very good at it at first. It's going to take them a while to be really effective. So initially, if you say every Sunday, I'm washing your hair, and the other days you get to wash your hair yourself. And then like once a week, they're getting a sufficient wash. And then over time, you can take that back. Like, okay, twice a month I will wash your hair, and once a month. And then as you start to see, like consistently, yes, you're doing a good job, then they can take it over. But still know that you will have times when you need to wash. So if Brinley's been washing her hair independently for 3 months, then one day when I'm doing it, it's like, oh, this is feeling a little dirty. I'm going to wash your hair next time. Okay, no big deal. And that can also happen as they start to enter puberty and aren't used to having to deal with oil and things like that. So that does it for taking care of your child's hair. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I am happy to clarify, to expand, to answer more questions that have come to your head that I didn't think of to put in here. Please let me know if you have questions. And as always, thank you for watching.